In this short video, I'd like to show you how to do some polynomial division. In addition to showing some examples, I'm hoping that I can explain some of the steps and process to you so that when you attempt a new problem that isn't an example here in this video, you won't have any trouble with that. To start with, we can always look to regular old-fashioned long division. For example, if you were to use long division to divide 374 divided by 4, or when we write it out in a bracket, it would look like this. We could pay attention to the steps, and it may be that you're so accustomed to doing that division that you don't even think about the steps. So I've written out the steps so that you can think through, what am I doing as you do this? Do you recall that the first step you do is divide? That's step number 1. When we do 37 divided by 4. Step 2 is multiply. 4 goes into 37 9 times. So the second step would be to multiply 9 times 4 to get 36. Third step is subtract. We would do 37 minus 36. And then the last step is to bring down the next digit, and that next digit is going to be a 4. Really easy way to remember the steps is because you know sisters are far more important than brothers, right? And should always come first. So if you think dad, mom, sister, brother. Divide, multiply, subtract, and then bring down. If you remember that, dad, mom, and then sister, brother. I know when you're doing this long division with just simple numbers, maybe it seems too simple and you don't think through that process, but watch and see how it plays out. When I do divide, so I'm going to do, let me turn on a highlighter here. I'm going to do 37 divided by 4, and 37 divided by 4 is 9. And then I can say 9 times 4 is 36. And then I'm going to subtract. 37 subtract 36 is 1. Now, what you would never do is you would never do 3 plus 3. Let me write this, and then I'll quickly erase it because it's the incorrect thing to do. Of course, you would never do 3 minus 3 is 0, and then 7 plus 6 is 13, right? We're going to do 7 minus 6 and 3 minus 3. Hold on to that thought about why I'm suggesting that, because we'll get to that in a few minutes. Once we've done the subtraction, we're ready for the last part, the brother, because brothers come last. Bring down comes last. So bring down that 4, and now we have a 14 divided by 4, and we're ready to start the whole process over again. 14 divided by 4 is 3, and then multiply 3 times 4 is 12. Oh, I forgot to write the 3, didn't I? 14 divided by 4 is 3. 3 times 4 is 12, and then I'm ready to do 14 subtract 12 is 2. Notice that we now could say that we have a remainder 2. Watch how I'm going to write this. And I know that you wouldn't typically write a long division problem this way, but do you see that I could say that 374 is equivalent to 4 times 93 plus 2. So plus that remainder 2. 4 times 93 plus the remainder. Keep that all in mind. And let's see what we've got going on when we do the long division of a polynomial. Here's our problem that we did, the 93 remainder 2. I'm going to set up this long division polynomial. 5x cubed plus 2x squared plus 7x minus 1 divided by x minus 9 in the same way. So write that out first. And then off to the side, and if you need to pause the video, please do that so you can copy it. Then off to the side, I'm going to actually write this down. I'm not going to do this in my head. I'm going to think through 5x cubed divided by x. We're going to ignore that 9 for a moment. 5x cubed divided by x, maybe you could recognize that as just simplifying. X cubed divided by x is x squared. Now, since we're not meeting in person, I don't know if that makes sense to you or not. So let me expand this. 5x cubed is 5 times x times x times x divided by x. So I can reduce an x over x. And I'm left with 5x squared. And that's where this 5x squared comes from. Remember the dad, mom, sister, brother. So 5x squared. Next I'm going to do the mom, the multiply, 5x squared times x minus 9. Distribute 5x squared to the x. Distribute 5x squared to the negative 9. And we're going to get 5x cubed minus 45x squared. Now when we get to the subtract, watch how careful we have to be, because it's not going to be as natural as subtracting whole numbers. What we're doing is subtracting, and this is where students, if you're going to make a mistake, this tends to be where the mistake gets made. We're subtracting this whole purple thing, this whole 5x cubed minus 45x squared. What you might do, and I'd even recommend using another colored pen or pencil, is change it to adding and change it to the opposite for each of these. So when we subtract 5x cubed, it's the same as adding negative 5x cubed. When we subtract negative 45x squared, it's the same as adding 45x squared. Let me go back to show you that one more time. If I subtract 5x cubed, it's the same as adding negative 5x cubed. If I subtract negative 45x squared, it's the same thing as adding a positive 45x squared. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the subtract and then put it in parentheses. And then I'm going to change this to adding and change each piece, each term, to its opposite. So now I'm ready to simply add, and we've got 2x squared plus 45x squared is 47x squared. 5x cubed minus 5x cubed, they cancel each other out, so we have a 0, and we just have this 47x squared. That was a subtract, step 3. Now we're ready for, last but not least, the brother, the bring down. So I'm going to bring down a positive 7x. And now I'm ready to start all over again. Let me erase some of this so that we can use the same space here. So when I go back to do this all over again, remember I'm just going to take the 47x squared and divide it by the x. That's the same thing as 47 times x all over x, and one set of x's divides out, so we've got 47x, right? So that's what our quotient is. 47x squared plus 7x divided by x minus 9 is positive 47x. That's the divide. Now for the multiply, I'm going to multiply 47x times x minus 9. So in other words, I distribute the 47x to the x and to the 9. 47x times x is 47x squared. 47x times negative 9. 47 times 9, let me do this on the calculator. 47 times 9 is 423. So 47 times negative 9 is negative 423x. Now I'm going to subtract So remember, I'm going to change that subtracting to adding, but I change each of these pieces to their opposite. So we have 47x squared minus 47x squared, and then 7x plus 423x is going to give us 430x. There's still a little bit more because we've got to do the bring down again. There's still a term left. So we'll do this one more time. Now I have 430x divided by x is 430. So I'd write that 430 here. And then multiply 430 times x is 430x. 430 times 9 is 3,870. And I'm going to subtract those. So when I subtract, remember I'm going to change it to adding the opposite of each. 430x minus 430x, those just cancel out. But this -1 minus 3,870, I'm going to add them, 3,870 plus 1, and they're negative. And that is the remainder. And that's it. I hope that that example helped a little bit. Here's a couple pitfalls. Let me show you a couple examples that students sometimes struggle with. If we had an example that looked like this, x minus 2x squared plus 7 minus 9x to the 5th. This example has two issues with it. If I take this and I want to do divided by x squared minus, or let's say divided by x minus 9. What I want to do when I put this in the bracket is I have to start by putting this first polynomial that I'm dividing in descending order. So you'll see that when I put this in order, this x to the 5th is the highest degree, so that's going to come first, and then the x squared, and then the x, and then the constant 7. But watch what else I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to put some placeholders in. So I'll start with this 9x to the 5th, but there is no x to the 4th term. So I'm going to put a placeholder for the x to the 4th. I'm going to put a placeholder for the x cubed minus 2x squared plus x plus 7, and you're ready to go just like the other example. So we would do 9x to the 5th divided off to the side here. 9x to the 5th divided by x is 9x to the 4th. And that x to the 4th, notice I'm going to line it up over the x to the 4th term. And then 9x to the 4th times x is 9x to the 5th. 9x to the 4th times -9 is -81 x to the 4th. To subtract, you know, I know that I'm subtracting both of them. I know that what I'm going to do is change the sign of both of them. So without even writing the subtract, I could just go through and change both of these to their opposite in that one step. Next, when I add 0 plus 81 gives us 81 x to the 4th. Try the rest of this example, and I'm going to suggest that you pause the video and see if you can continue it, and then turn the video back on to see if you did it correctly. Hopefully you worked this out, and then you're just coming back to see how you can see if, as you continue, if you did it correctly. I'm going to go ahead and finish the problem. After I did the subtraction and got 81x to the 4th, I'll bring down the 0 x cubed, and I'm ready to divide again. So off to the side, and I do actually write this out. I write it out off to the side on my paper. 81x to the fourth divided by x is 81x cubed. And then multiply 81x cubed times x is 81x to the fourth. 81x cubed times negative 9. I'm going to do 81 times 9 to get negative 729 x cubed. And remember, and here's where you're most likely to make a mistake, because we're subtracting this whole thing. So I think the easiest thing to do is just to write this 81, let me go back here, to write this as subtract and then change this to its opposite. But just to make sure you understand why we're doing that, let me write it like this, because this is actually what we're doing. So we're saying 81x to the fourth minus 81x to the fourth is 0. And then we're saying 0x cubed minus negative 729 x cubed is positive. So 0 minus a negative is a positive 729 x cubed. But again, I really think the easiest way to show that is that we would write this as the opposite, and then change this is a subtract, and a negative, change it to a positive. And then it's just adding from there. Bring down, divide 729 x cubed divided by x is 729 x squared, and so on. So keep practicing that, and eventually you'll get to where this is really easy, I hope. I'm not sure if this is the polynomial division you've been doing, or if it was something else. So let me show you one more case. What if we're going to divide by x cubed minus 3, and we have 5x to the fifth minus 2x to the fourth plus 3x cubed minus 2x squared minus x plus 10. So if I did this with a dividing by x cubed, then off to the side I could be thinking 5x to the fifth divided by x cubed, and that's 5x squared. Oh, sorry, meant to put it up here, right? 5x squared. Sorry, I got off track what I was doing because we're still doing the dividing. So when we divide 5x to the fifth divided by x cubed, we get 5x squared, and that's what we write above the x squared term, right? So we keep it lined up. Next is the multiply. So 5x squared times x cubed minus 3. Distribute 5x squared to x cubed and to negative 3. 5x squared times x cubed is 5x to the fifth. 5x squared times negative 3 is negative 15x squared. Oh, and I've got to put that negative 15x squared under the x squared, right? You always want to line up like terms. When I go to subtract this, I'm going to subtract 5x to the fifth, and I'm going to subtract a negative 15x squared, so I change it to adding. And I also have to think of this as having 0x to the fourth and 0x cubed. So in a way, they just come down, because 2x to the fourth plus 0x to the fourth is negative 2x to the fourth. 3x cubed plus 0x cubed is 3x cubed. But then when I do these, negative 2 plus 15, 13, x squared, and the 5x to the fifth minus 5x to the fifth is 0. I'm going to erase this part so we can see a little bit more, because next we'll need to bring down. So we did the divide. We divided 5x to the fifth. Oops, let me get the highlighter. 5x to the fifth divided by x cubed gave us 5x squared. And then we multiplied 5x squared times x cubed was 5x to the fifth, and 5x squared times negative 3 is negative 15x squared. That was the multiply. Next we did subtraction. To subtract 5x to the fifth and subtract negative 15x squared, we changed them to a negative 5x to the fifth, and that negative 15 changed to a positive, a plus 15. And then we did the third step, add, or subtract rather, I'm sorry. When we subtracted, remember we changed this negative, and we changed this positive to a negative and this negative to a positive. So then we could just add 5x to the fifth minus 5x to the fifth was 0. Negative 2x to the fourth plus 0 is negative 2x to the fourth. 3x cubed plus 0x cubed is 3x cubed. And negative 2x squared plus 15x squared gave us this 15x squared. Next we'll bring down the negative x. And what I'm thinking off to the side is negative 2x to the fourth divided by x cubed. And that is negative 2x. I'll write that above the x term, negative 2x, and then multiply. Negative 2x times x cubed. Do you see this green? X cubed minus 3, right? The negative 2x times the divisor, x cubed minus 3. So I would distribute. Negative 2x times x cubed is negative 2x to the fourth. Negative 2x times negative 3 is plus 6x. And when I subtract, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change each of these to their opposite. So then I have negative 2x to the fourth plus 2x to the fourth is 0. 3x cubed plus 0 is 3x cubed. 13x squared plus 0 is 13x squared. And then negative x minus 6x is negative 7x. We're almost done now. We do have one more bring down, so I'll bring down this 10. But watch what happens when I do 3x cubed divided by x cubed. I'm finally down to a linear term, a 3. We did the divide. Next we'll do the multiply. 3 times x cubed, 3x cubed. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. And then we'll subtract, because sisters come before brothers. 10 minus 9 is 1. Oh, I didn't do the subtraction. I was checking to see if you're paying attention. No, just kidding. Sorry, I forgot. The most common mistake, I'll tell you, this is the most common mistake that students make, and it's a mistake I almost just made here. I'm going to change this 3x cubed to its opposite and change the negative 9 to its opposite. Why am I doing that? Because I'm subtracting. So 3x cubed plus negative 3x cubed, those cancel out. And then we have 13x squared minus 7x. 10 plus 9 is plus 19. And so this is our remainder. And that's it. That's all we have here with this example. I hope that that example was easy to follow. It's not an easy process, but if you practice it, it's not a difficult process either. What I'm going to recommend to you is that you always go back to simple long division. And when you're taking a test and you need to remember what to do, even write out a simple problem like this and write out the steps. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, and then repeat. Keep going back to the top until you run out of terms to divide. Let me know what your questions are, and we could pick up from there next time.